Hello everyone, this is Brian from Brian Tech. In this video, I'll show you how you can create a GitHub Actions that serves as continuous integration in the continuous deployment pipeline. That is CI/CD for short, to build your Apple iOS application. To make it more interesting, I will show you how you can use machine learning enable GitHub Copilot to generate the script on the fly. This is not going to be full end-to-end demo that shows how you can build complete iOS application from scratch with the Xcode and deploy it to an app store. Instead, this assumes three things. First, you are already familiar with the Apple Xcode development process to generate project structure. Second, you can provide Apple account login through the GitHub Actions. Third, you'll use GitHub Host Runner, which comes with Xcode build command tool to build, test, etc. Now, without further ado, let's get started. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and let's get started. So this is GitHub Host Runner. We should be enabled with the different type of operating system: Ubuntu, Windows, and Mac OS Runner. Mac OS Runner is what we're going to use. GitHub Host Runner comes with different tool set and etc. And this documentation shows that there are different type of versions available, even for different operating system. Windows has 2022 and 2019. Those version can change depending on the new release later, so just be aware of that. Ubuntu has 22.04 and 20.04, and again those things can change as new release version comes out. The one we're going to use is Mac OS Runner. We're going to use Mac OS -latest, which has a latest version there. So in the different type of operating system, GitHub Host Runner, it is bundled with different tool set. So let's look at what is in the Mac OS 12. So you can click and go inside it. So this should give you different types of tools already pre-installed with the GitHub Host Runner, Mac Host Runner. So what we're going to looking for is Xcode build. So let's try to search for that. So it has Xcode, and we need the Xcode build tool. We should come bundled with Xcode command option. So nothing shows up there, but there's Xcode command line tool, and it should come with Xcode command. So it's good. So now what I want to do is that we're going to follow this block, and then it kind of shows example of how you can build Xcode iOS app through Xcode build. We can print out -help to see the help options, and we'll follow the process shown up here. So we can restart the project by using this command. And you need to provide Xcode project and for this to work. And there is a clean option, which is help to clean, archive, etc. So we can run this command as well, archive, and then export, etc. So you can follow this documentation to see how this works behind the scene whenever we do CI/CD pipeline. So now we need some sample project to start. I can go create an Xcode project myself, new project with Xcode. I'm going to use this repository code that has Xcode project structure there. So I already downloaded it and clone it, so you can see the sample project here. And I'm going to create a new repository, so which will have the which we can run GitHub Action. Again, this is my public account, So to make it work, I need to make it public. But if you're using organization, other one that is, enterprise version of it, you can run this GitHub action in either internal or public, internal private. It doesn't have to be public. But because I'm using my personal account, I need to make it public. I can give a name, I can give some description. So description is optional, but it's always good to have. I will say just GitHub action. So again, this need to make a public because to run GitHub action in public GitHub account, you need to make it public. So let's click public, and then we can create a repository with this and create a repository. Now new repository get created, so let's try to clone it by clicking code and then click copy. Now here's my VS Code I'm going to clone, so I can cd into that by typing the command, cd command. So cd into that, there you go. So you can verify this as a Git directory because we cloned it with it. Now what we're going to do, we're going to copy the project, simple project. We have an Apple iOS project, but before doing that, let's verify Copilot is enabled. So you can see my Copilot is installed, so it's enabled with. So you can see the extension, and that is there. So we can close it. What we're gonna do is that we need to copy the project. Before doing that, let's create a structure for GitHub action. So .github directory, need to create it first, and we need another directory called workflows. Oops, there's a little type there. We need to make it plural, so make sure that it's a workflows, not workflow. So the GitHub action will get recognized whenever you put in this directory .github/workflows. Now let's copy the project in our sample Swift or the Apple iOS project. So we grab those two directory and then select and paste inside clone directory, so it's there. Okay, so now let's try to create a GitHub action, and this is where we will use Copilot. New file, we're going to name it as action iOS CI/CD.yaml. So Copilot is enabled behind the scene, so we can start typing and it will instantly recognize based on what you type and keyword and etc. that what it's trying to do. So GitHub action can work, GitHub Copilot can work in different way. So one way is a comment, so it can be as more descriptive it is, it can generate more code based on what you type. So I can type GitHub Actions that build, and it already suggests, you can see. What we're gonna do is we're gonna build with the command X command build. So let's try to type that information there. Apple iOS project using Xcode build command, and that should be good enough. It already suggests a name for it for GitHub action. There is a process to enable GitHub action for Copilot for GitHub action. By default should be not enabled yet. Maybe next video I can try to create a video around how can enable it for GitHub action or any other markdown. So it doesn't suggest GitHub event. How does it trigger? But I'm going to add one more event called workflow_dispatch, so I can run it manually as well. The next thing is the jobs. So it kind of already will suggest it for you, but you can start to take it. I'm not going to take everything. Because I mentioned Xcode build, it can suggest that it already discovered that it's going to use Mac OS latest, which is what we're looking for. So based on what you type, Copilot is smart enough to detect. So I'm going to This is what the learner we want to use. I'm going to give it some custom name. So we're going to say build iOS project. So then first thing is we need to check out from repository. Otherwise, it will not recognize what is in repository. But the latest version is not that. So this is again this help to check the repository. Otherwise, file will not be recognized. Latest version is v3 version 3. So we'll change that, and we'll make it more descriptive. So this is fine, but I think first thing is we want to kind of customize it, try to create it based on documentation we've seen earlier. So we try to delete these lines, and then also one below. This is okay, but maybe want to be customize it based on the documentation we've seen earlier. So let's try to print out the Xcode --help first. So I can say print out help from command from Xcode build. So it is able to suggest that, so that's great. And then next step, we'll try to follow this documentation, and then Xcode build, release the project, etc. So we'll try to type list out project from. Again, Copilot is helping me to generate the command as I type. So it would be referencing the what syntax. That's not exactly what I want, so you still need to be able to verify what you want to do. So the project name is Hello World with the H capital, W capital. So let's replace with that. So next step is that we want to build, clean the project. So Xcode build the clean. So we can copy that. Clean Xcode. So it doesn't suggest that this is not completely wrong, but we will try to replace that with a simpler Xcode clean, Xcode build clean. And the next step is be archive. That's probably going to be last step. We're going to stop after that. So, and then of course, one thing you need to be aware is that you still need to create your developer Apple developer account, and then to authenticate, etc. Those things are still there, need to be included later on. So hopefully, if you're already done Apple iOS development, you should know how to do that. So, and then archive. Let's stop at that. So let's delete these things now. Okay. And then this one, what we're going to do is we try to authenticate. So let's say if you want to authenticate it and you want to add something there, and there's different way to authenticate it. I believe there's a way to do with the certification. So like you can do something like this, make sure to authenticate, so profile can be recognized, and then go from there. So those steps you need to be included later on. There's also a command called xclone or something like that you can use to authenticate. So you might want to look into that. So, but we'll not do this at the moment. We'll delete that. So because we just want to demonstrate how that the Copilot can help to generate, and what the CI/CD project structure looks like. Just get you started and give you some idea. So we'll check all the files here which got modified, and then we'll commit and push to the GitHub repository. So it's good. So here we go. Let's refresh, and you should see those files are there. Click Actions, and there's action. And let's try to execute manually. And if you refresh, it should appear. Look at it. It should be coming up anytime soon. So it's using Mac OS Learner, and set up job, check, print out the Xcode build --help, list the project, and then clean, and then archive. we encounter error with the archive step because we need to provide the profile, but that's something you have to do to make it work. But at least this should give you a really good idea how to get started with the building Apple iOS project with the CI/CD pipeline using GitHub Action, and how can Copilot helps to accelerate the process. So that should be it for now. But please stay tuned for any other Copilot and GitHub Action video in my YouTube channel. Otherwise, thank you for watching and see you later. Bye bye. That's it. I hope you like watching this video and be sure to like it.